Welcome, my dear viewers. My name is Ziemowit, and today I'm going to tell you the most glorious and the most dramatic part of Polish history. I will tell you the history of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth from the beginning in the late 16th century till the end of its glory in the end of 17th century. It will be 1 century and a little bit more about great Polish history. With Lithuanians together, we created an empire that spread on a territory over 1 million square kilometers. We were covering lands from almost Moscow in the east to Poznań in the west, from Riga in the north and to the shores of the Black Sea in the south. In this movie I'm going to describe all the steps, how it began, how it went, how was the great experiment, the free election, the new way to gain kings for Poland and from Lithuania. I will tell about these elections, and then we will continue through ages, through years, through wars, through battles, until the great Battle of Vienna in 1683, which was the last great Polish hussars battle in this era. So let's begin with the famous Union of Lublin in 1569. Old Polish king Zygmundus II the August was getting aged, and he did not have a male heir. So he wanted to unite these two countries because he knew that after his death Lithuania could go its own way and Poland could go its own way, and it would be not good for both countries, because these countries were united since the late 14th century, since Union of Krewo in 1385, when Władysław Jagiello, the founder of Jagiellonian dynasty, united these two countries. And in fact, the noblemen of Poland and Lithuania united them, but Jagiello was first ruler of this united empire, and since then these two states were under personal union of Jagiellonian ruler. But now Jagiellonian dynasty is going to end, and Zygmundus II August knew that if he dies, the whole dynasty will end and these two countries could split. So he proposed a real union between these two countries, not only one ruler, one ruler, because it was in fact the King of Poland was also a Grand Duke of Lithuania, and there was no such a construct as a king of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, because it was a republic, and on the head of this republic was King of Poland, and in the same person the Grand Duke of Lithuania. And they all met in Lublin in winter 1569. And the proposition was that they will create one country with one ruler, that will be chosen on a free election. Every nobleman can come to Warsaw and on the election fields can vote for his candidate, and every nobleman has equal vote. It was something extraordinary at these times in the world. And one ruler, one foreign policy, and one coin in two nations. But they had splitted armies, splitted treasuries, and splitted offices. So there will be a great hetman. Hetman was a head of military. Great hetman in Poland, great hetman in Lithuania, great chancellor in Poland, chancellor in Lithuania, treasurer in Poland, treasurer, and so on. So different offices for Lithuania and different offices for Poland. And during this meeting in Lublin in 1569, group of Lithuanian aristocracy, very noble aristocracy, don't wanted this connection to be so close, and they left this meeting and thought that without them nothing can be done. But King of Poland was very determined to finish what he began, so he proceeded without them. And what's more, during this negotiations, noblemen from Kiev, from Halicz, and from Volhynia wanted to join Poland, Crown of Poland, and these territories in the south of Lithuania, these vast territories that are present-day Ukraine, went under the Crown of Poland. You may think that Lithuania lost a lot of land and that they were very weak because of this change of territories. But no. First of all, these noblemen from these territories wanted to join Crown of Poland, and the second idea was that these territories were constantly raided by the Tatars from Crimea that were raiding these territories, and they thought that Polish crown would be better in defending these territories. So they gave this to Crown of Poland, but in fact nothing on the outside changed. It was still this Commonwealth. And they agreed to create this union. And this was the biggest and the most durable union in the history of the world, because there was no situation like this, that two nations agreed on such a unity, and it lasted peacefully for over 2 centuries. Then, 3 years later, King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania died. Zygmunt II August was the last Jagiellonian ruler on the throne of Poland and Lithuania, and he died. And noblemen from Poland and Lithuania have to meet on the fields of Warsaw to decide who will be the new ruler of this kingdom. But before they did it, they made something extraordinary. They signed Confederation of Warsaw in 1573. It was a very unique document because Europe at this time was constantly fighting because of war, because of religious wars. They were in France, they were killing Huguenots. In Germany, Protestants fought Catholics, and so on. And whole Europe was fighting for religion, but in Poland no one did. And in this act of Confederation of Warsaw, they declared that in Poland everyone can believe whatever he wants, and no one is to be discriminated and oppressed and prosecuted because of his beliefs. It was something that Western Europe came in 20th century, and in Poland it was declared already in 16th century. And then they started the first free election, this great experiment. And we had some candidates, of course. We have Ivan IV, Duke of Moscow, who was a big enemy of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, but he declared that if they agree, he could be King of Poland and Great Duke of Lithuania. There was also John III Vasa from Sweden. Vasa dynasty was a very new dynasty that emerged in 16th century, and John III was willing to take the throne because his wife was from Jagiellonian dynasty, so he was kind of part of the family. Also, there was Habsburg family in Austria, and they wanted badly to secure the throne for their candidate. And also there was a candidate from France, Henry from Valois dynasty. And Henry was young, handsome, and they wanted this Catholic king to become the king of Poland. But there was a very important problem with Henry, because few years earlier in France there was a night of Saint Bartholomew, the night when a lot of Huguenots, Protestants from France, were killed by the Catholics, and Polish nobleman was afraid that French candidate could make the same. There was also a very funny situation when Habsburgs sent a man to, because these candidates didn't come in person to the fields of Warsaw, they all sent their envoys. And Habsburg sent Wilhelm from Rosenberg, a Czech aristocrat whose aim was to collect votes for the Habsburg candidate. And the Habsburgs thought that Czech will easily can communicate with Polish noblemen, and he will be very good envoy for success of this mission. But as they drink a lot of wine and a lot of beer with Wilhelm from Rosenberg, he finally, being very drunk, told Polish nobles that in fact Habsburgs are not so good and they are trying to rule everything but their own, and they are not honoring the privileges of nobility. After one of such drinking parties, even Polish gentry wanted to proclaim Wilhelm from Rosenberg a new king, but as they get sober, they dismissed this idea. But finally, the first election ended with proclamation of King Henry from France as a new king of Poland. And of course they sent envoys to France to welcome new king, because it was very far distance. And in fact, after election, it was half a year until Henry came from France. He came in the early 1576 in winter, and he was very surprised that Poland is such a cold country. And what's more, we have a small ice age from 16th to 17th century, so winters in Poland were really, really hard. As he came to Poland, people were very surprised that he is dressing like a lady, because in Poland we have a Sarmatian culture, man was supposed to be very chivalric, very strong. Polish noblemen were core of Polish army, and here comes a man who is using perfumes, using very nice dresses, and of course cannot communicate fluently with them because he spoke only Latin and French. And in Poland, most people highly educated also spoke Latin, but hardly no one could speak French. What's more, in Poland was living old Anne from Jagiellonian dynasty, and Anna the Jagiellonian was chosen to be a wife for this young French king of Poland now. And he don't wanted to marry this old woman because he was, of course, ugly, and he was 50 years old. And it made him with no chances for having offsprings. So he avoided as he could marrying this woman, but finally, in the same year, in September, the King of France died, and Henry, when he get this information, he decided to leave Poland, in fact, to escape Poland, to go to France as soon as possible to take the French crown, because he was second. Now he was first in line to be the French king. And in fact, he did. He escaped, and the Polish throne was abandoned, and people had to gather again to proclaim a new king. And again, Habsburg dynasty was trying to force their own candidate. John III, the Vasa from Sweden, was also a candidate, and there was a candidate from Hungary, in fact from Transylvania, because nowadays in this time Hungary was split between Habsburgs, Turks, and semi-independent Transylvanian duchy. And this Duke of Transylvania, Stefan Bathory, was proposed as a king of Poland, and he won the second election. And Habsburgs couldn't stand that again their candidate Maximilian is not winning the election, so they bribed some part of Polish noblemen. They bribed a bishop, and they proclaimed him also a king, even then he didn't won the free election. And we have a small civil war, because on the one side we have Stefan Bathory, who came very quickly to Krakow to take the crown on his head, because Krakow was traditional capital of Poland, and there in the cathedral was crowned, all kings were crowned. But Habsburgs also made an army, and they attacked Poland, so they wanted to put their candidate on the throne. But it was very short conflict, because Maximilian Habsburg died a few months later, and the situation cleared on his own. So we have now new King of Poland. In 1577 we have solo king Stefan Bathory from Transylvania. And he was quite a good king because he was strong, he was very military minded, and he knew that he must act very quickly because Ivan the Third, yes, was attacking in the north, in the terrain of present-day Estonia and Łotwa. And Polish king gathered great army to attack there, because Russia was trying to capture some ports on the Baltic shore so they can trade, so they can develop their economic power, and Poland also wanted these territories because these inhabitants of these territories were choosing Poland and Lithuania as their suzerain. So Stefan gathered a big army and he reconquered Pskov, first Polotsk, and then he marched to great fortress of Pskov. And we have a great painting, a battery under Pskov, where we can see this great army, Polish and Lithuanian army, besieging this great fortress. Under this fortress, and Ivan, Prince of Moscow, was never trying to fight Stefan in the open field. In fact, he was very furious about this campaign. He was escaping and trying to... He was so angry that he even killed his own son in the attack of fury because of Polish and Lithuanian attack. And this battle was won, and it was a great success for the Stefan Bathory because he secured this northern border, and now he could think about moving south because his main goal was to re-establish Hungarian kingdom, the great Hungarian kingdom from the 15th century that was crushed by Turks in 16th century, and he wanted to regain these territories. So he hoped that with the help of Polish and Lithuanian cavalry he could march south and make a Hungarian reconquista, let's say so. But unfortunately, first, he had the same ugly wife, Anna from Jagiellonian dynasty, so he could not have any children with her, of course, it's obvious. And also he had some health issues, and after only 10 years of ruling, he died quite suddenly, being not even 60 years old. So it was a bit of a surprise because he could rule much longer and make a lot of achievements, but in fact he didn't. That's all in the first part of the history of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in the ages of the greatest success. I hope you enjoyed this movie and hope to see you in the next one.